How y'all doing today? So today's video is going to be about my first basic handgun training. So I'm just going to touch on a few things that I learned from the basic handgun training and just get y'all a rundown of just what to expect and what to look forward to. So I went to California Tactical and took my first basic handgun course. And when I took the handgun course, I actually took it with my SD9 subcompact, because they got iron sights instead of using my other ones, which has the optic plate on it and that red dot optic. And as you can see, all of them is locked open and unloaded, no magazine in it. When I took my first class, I was a little bit nervous because I didn't know what to expect, because I never actually went and took one. So once I signed up for the class, I paid $150 for the class. And when I got there, it was crazy because come to find out, I was the only person there. So it was almost like I had a private training, which was like definitely 10 times better, because it took the nervousness out because I was there by myself. So as we start going over things, well, let me explain to you what it's about for people who may not know what basic handgun training classes are. So the basic handgun course, it taught firearm safety, which is always handling your gun safely, always putting it in the right direction, always making sure your gun is loaded or unloaded, just to make sure that you're safe around anybody, and just basic handling of firearms. So it took probably about like 10 minutes to go over that. And once we went over that for probably about like 10 minutes, we got into the live fire action. So doing that, what I found out is that taking these classes will really humble you, because, you know, I go to the range and, you know, I think I'm a pretty good shot, but going through there and actually having somebody work with you and show you some of your flaws, you really get to see some of the things that you really need to train on every day. So taking those classes is really good for you, because it'll definitely show you the things that you need to work on, and it'll actually show you how good of a shooter you really are. So I definitely recommend taking any basic handgun class, or just taking any classes, period. So as we begin the class, we start shooting from about 10 yards, and we was basically focused on sight alignment and also focusing on trigger manipulation. So when I started out, my trigger manipulation was good. It was more or less my aiming, which was like pretty much like a little bit off, because I kept shooting to the left. So what I found out during the class is that, well, what the teacher explained to me was that even though in your mind, if you holding it straight and it looks straight, what you want to do is, after you see a shot and you notice that like you may be placing them either left or right, once you start looking at your trigger finger to make sure your trigger finger and your trigger manipulation is good, then the next thing you want to start looking for is to see if you're slightly adjusting the gun yourself. And what happened was that even though it looked straight in my eyes, I was holding it slightly to the left, so I had to adjust and cant slightly to the right. Once I canted a little bit to the right, that's when I start noticing my shots start to lag. And another thing that I also noticed is that breathing really helps, and it's really important, because a lot of the times when I was breathing, when I was shooting, I was also throwing off my shot because I wasn't breathing. So paying attention to how you breathe in the air that you hold there, because not breathing, if you hold in the air, your muscles tend to start shaking. So say for instance, if I hold my breath now, you'll notice my hands start to shake. Now, when you're breathing, your hand tends to stay calm. So that was one thing that I picked up on, because I started noticing when I start to break the wall on the trigger, that I will hold my breath, and holding my breath, you tighten all your muscles, versus when you're actually breathing, you're less tense, and therefore that recoil you can kind of more control better, just because of the simple fact your muscles is not tensed up once that gun goes off. And another thing I learned is slow and steady wins the race. Everybody wants to go real fast. You know, you see all these YouTube videos and you see guys on there shooting, you know, doing a build drill, and they're getting it done in like, you know, 1 second or 1.5, you know, close around those times. And a lot of times, you know, you tend to want to shoot fast, because if you know, getting the firearms and you really like them, you know, that's one big part that, you know, people really like, is being able to shoot fast. So slow and steady wins the race. Definitely if you're working on precision and accuracy, you want to make sure that you actually take your time, because like I said, if you want those shots to actually hit and land where you want them to, you definitely got to make sure, take your time with that. Another thing that I learned is to treat every shot like your last shot, because when you treat every shot like it's the last shot that's, inside your gun, you tend to realize like there's no margin of error for you shoot this bullet, because you realize in your mind it's your last one. So looking at every shot like that helps you to really pay attention to your mechanics and the way that you're shooting. And that's one of the most important things that like I can stress, because I found out for myself using that as a mental tool, it helped me be more proficient when it comes to actually training or actually shooting. And I'm looking forward to getting to competition shooting. So with me looking forward to doing that, that's a big thing that I feel as though it's really going to help me. It's like, when I'm completely going through stages or running through stages, is making sure that I treat every shot like it's my last shot, because then you'll be a little bit more critical on how you perform and how you shoot. The next thing I learned is resetting and learning from your mistakes, because a lot of people just go and throw 200, throw 150 bullets down range, like every time they go to the range, and think that that's really doing something. Like, no, learn from your mistakes. Like, take your time. Like, a lot of times, a lot of my drills, I set up my drills and I use probably about 20 rounds within inside of that drill, so that way I can like literally see my progress to everything. Because when you tend to use less bullets, and like I was just telling you about using that mentality as every bullet is your last, you tend to get more out of your range days when you go and you practice. Another thing is like I said, definitely learning and resetting from any of your mistakes, because if you want to become a better shooter, like that's the things that you want to have to correct to make yourself a better performer. And that's definitely something I'm learning throughout my journey. And in conclusion, a lot of the things that I learned is going to be real useful to me in practicing and getting better. So if I was you, take as many classes, courses as that you could find. Like, cause my next course that I'm planning on taking is the red dot pistol mount course. So that way, I can get better with, red dots and get my fundamentals down pat with that. So if scared or you're nervous about it, I'm gonna tell you, don't be, man. Go there and just, you never know. You might, connect with people. You might find, new shooting partners. You might find, people that's just like-minded that, you can connect with and actually, build, a relationship with. So that way, when you're going through this, if you're like me, like I came out to California and I'm here by myself. So, doing this alone, it was kind of like nervous at the beginning. But, once I really got into going and, you get there and it's really, not what you expect. Like, when you walk in the room. So like, if you're there and, serious about safety, you serious about training hard, don't be afraid to go to the courses. And really just don't really care what anybody else think. You at that course to learn and you there to become better. So, just take the courses and take the classes and use them as you see fit, just to better your skills. So like, that's definitely everything I learned from taking that class. And like I said, again, I'll definitely be doing it again. What's to come soon on the channel? So I just purchased a Diamondback Obsidian. So I'm going to do an unboxing and I'm going to do a first shot impression on that. And then I'm going to do a rifle comparison between my Radical firearms and then the Diamondback Obsidian. So be on the lookout for those two videos coming soon. And definitely I can't wait to drop more videos and give you guys, more things to look forward to. So man, enjoy the time with you guys. Lordy He's the channel, Dame's the name. Just remember to come back and stay tuned. See you guys next time. Hey guys, one more thing. If you're looking for concealed carry wear, ArrowHead Tactical is what I like to use. It's comfortable t-shirt, the concealed carry tee. Probably couldn't even tell it was there. That's why I love this t-shirt. The long shorts, the concealment shorts that also come with the retention belt. And like I said, it's pretty good, pretty comfortable, as you can see. Don't go nowhere when you move. Easy to pull. So yeah, try them out. Definitely. I love all they wear. Definitely make it easier when you at the range. Give you breathable t-shirt. Able to move around. Don't gotta worry about being constricted always, having on long pants and doing any type of work that you need to do when it comes to moving around with your pistol. Is also good for when you're going outside, just on your everyday concealed carry. Like I said, love it and definitely recommend it.